recording. All right. So just to remind you, I have to stand right here so I can be seen, right? Here's my spot.
Okay.
So you guys know that your test on everything we have done so far in chemistry is going to be on Thursday. The B's classes is going to be on Friday. When is your study guide due?
30th.
Wednesday at 3 o'clock. At that time, I will cut off submissions. If you submit yours at 3:02, too bad. Because I am opening the quiz, I'm opening the key then, so you can go through and check your answers, okay? So make sure you have that done. It's several pages, so don't put it off till the last minute, okay? Don't put it off till the last minute. All right, so let's see, I think I want to go here. I want to go here. And today, you guys are going to take a partner quiz. So I'm going to randomly pull popsicle sticks. You're going to have a partner, and you guys are going to take this factor labeling quiz together, which will be a good practice, okay? The other thing is I'm going to teach you a new thing called the mole. So if you watch the video, you should at least have an idea about what the mole is. I'm going to show you today how to do conversion factors with it. This is not on the quiz, but it is on the test. Okay? So you definitely want to pay good attention. All right. So there is this thing called the mole. And it is not the little furry guy that runs into your grass, okay? It's actually it's an amount. It's like a chemistry dozen kind of thing, okay? And it equals this ridiculously big number. 6.02 times 10 to the 23 things are in a mole. So a mole, what is a mole? A mole in chemistry is something we're going to use all the time. It's an amount, okay? And so this is a mole. This is a mole of sulfur. This is a mole of sugar. So chemists use this a lot when they are doing chemical reactions, and they use this thing called mole. So a mole equals 6.02 times 10 to the 23 things. Notice that the abbreviation for mole is MOL. Isn't that weird? It's not much of an abbreviation, is it? One letter, but it is an abbreviation. So listen to this, and if you watch the video, you know. If I had a mole of marbles, I would have enough marbles to cover the earth. Anybody remember? 5 miles deep. Imagine a pile of marbles that would cover the surface of the earth 5 miles deep. So how is it that this is a mole? And if I had a mole of marbles, I would be swimming in marbles. Yeah, but why can I see this amount, and why would the marbles be? Does anybody know if it's the same number? Why is the marble so much different than this? What must be? Tell me about the size of these particles. They must be really, really what? Small. Okay. So the things that we measure, in chemistry are tiny. That is why we need the mole. If we were measuring marbles, we would not use the mole, would we? Because it's way too many things. So a mole is like a dozen in chemistry. Okay? So how many things are in a pair? 2. How many things are in a dozen? 12. Anybody know how many things are in a ream? A ream is like that packet of paper. Anybody know? It's 500. 500 things in a ream. How many things are in a mole?
6.02.
6.02 times 10 to the 23 things. So do not let yourself get freaked out by that big number. It just is how many things are in this thing called a mole. All right. So this number, 6.02 times 10 to the 23, is so famous that we give it a name. The name, you know, like what is the name we give to the number 3.14? Pi, okay? So this number we call Avogadro's number. 6.02 times 10 to the 23 is a famous number just like pi. But we call it Avogadro's number after a dude named Avogadro, who is a very kind of interesting looking guy from way back when. So I'll show you a picture of him later, you'll agree with me. So we call this Avogadro's number. So in chemistry, the particles that we are measuring, we're usually counting atoms, molecules, and ions. So we're counting atoms, we're counting molecules, or we're counting ions. Okay? This is a mole of sulfur atoms. This is a mole of sugar molecules. The same number, 6.02 times 10 to the 23 in here, 6.02 times 10 to the 23 in here. Clearly, what can you tell me about these particles versus these particles? Joey?
The sulfur.
These are smaller, and guess what? These are atoms of sulfur, and these are molecules of sugar. So it's a little bit bigger, okay? A little bit bigger. All right. So I want you to think, do you have your measurement conversion lab? Awesome. So in your measurement conversion labs, or sheets, do you see this equivalent? 1 mole is equal to 6.02 times 10 to the 23. Do you see that? You're going to use that a lot, okay? So we're going to practice this. I'm going to give you, if you guys can come get a dry erase board and a marker. You go. You guys come get a dry erase board and a marker. There you go. You also need a calculator. You also need a calculator. We'll clean these off at the end. Did everybody get one? There you go. All right. All right. So, do you have a calculator? All right. We're going to try 2 mole conversion problems. Are you ready? Here we go. How many moles are in 5.9 times 10 to the 23 atoms of, what say you? Gold, A for the day. So, way over on the right, you're going to put atoms of gold. You put what you want on the right. Atoms of gold. Oh, I'm so sorry. You are correct. A for the day. Moles of gold. So sorry. So we want moles of gold. I want a single unit, so I'm going to start with a single unit. So I'm going to start with 5.9 times 10 to the 25 atoms of gold. So I am going to use a conversion. Do you know a conversion that has atoms and moles in it? 1 mole equals 6.02 times 10 to the 23. And I'm going to set this up. The particle, guys, look. The particle that I'm talking about here is atoms. Remember, I can be counting atoms, molecules, or ions. So I'm going to put the 6.02 times 10 to the 23, in this case, atoms, on the bottom. And I'm going to put 1 mole on the top. Now, friends, what cancels? Atoms. So my atoms cancel, and I end up with moles, which is what I want. Now, if you have a fancy-dancy calculator with scientific notation, you should be able to do this no problem. If you don't know how to do this, you need to talk to your math teacher so they're all different about how to do exponents. That's what the EE button is. But if you have a cheapy calculator like I do, no problem. You can just go old school on this. So I'm going to say 5.9 divided by 6.02, and my answer is 0.9800. And then what do I do when I divide exponents? You subtract. So 10 to the 25 minus 23. So then I'm going to say 0.9800 times 10 to the 2. This is moles of gold. So is that in scientific notation? No. And how many sig figs? Let's look at my original problem. How many sig figs? 2. So now I'm going to put this in scientific notation with the correct sig figs. I need to move this over 1 to make that bigger. And if I make this bigger, what do I have to do with my exponent so I don't change the number? I got to make it smaller, right? If I make the number bigger, I have to make the exponent smaller by the same factor of 10. You can't go changing the number willy-nilly. And then the last thing you do is round, right? I'm going to round to 2 sig figs, and so my answer is 9.8 times 10 to the 1 moles of gold. Bam. What do you think? Good, right? Good. It's just, it's no different than saying 60 seconds in a minute, except it's a little bit bigger number, and people get freaked out by the exponent. All right? Erase. Let's try our second problem. How many atoms are in 2.8 moles of gold? So this time, right? Am I right? This time we're going to put atoms over here because that's my endpoint. That's what I'm shooting for. If I want a single unit, I'm going to start with the single unit, moles of gold. Again, you're looking at your measurement conversion. Do you see something that has moles and atoms in it? Oh, yes, you do. It's the mole conversion. But this time, I'm going to put moles on the bottom and Avogadro's number on the top. And what is the particle that I'm counting this time in this problem? Atoms, molecules, or ions? Atoms. Doesn't it say atoms? So I'm doing atoms. Okay, what cancels? The moles. Excellent. So moles cancel and I end up with atoms. So again, on your fancy-dancy calculator, you should be able to handle this problem no sweat. For me, with my cheapy dollar calculator, I'm just going to go old school, and I'm going to say 2.8 times 6.02 is 16.85 times 10 to the 25. So I just take my exponent, and I just plunk it down there. Atoms of gold. So I'm not in scientific notation, am I? Nope. So I have to move the decimal over, make that number smaller by 1. When I make it smaller by 1, what do I have to do with my exponent? If I make that smaller by 1, then I'm going to have to make this bigger by 1. Atoms of gold. And the last thing I do is I look right here and I say, how many sig figs? 2 sig figs. And so then I have to chop this off right there. So what does that round to? 1.7 times 10 to the what? Oh, why don't you guys stop me?
That's what's going to happen.
Why didn't you stop me?
I was just gonna ask.
You were
about
just
that.
gonna ask me, Mrs. Foy,
Yeah.
what is your problem? No, you wouldn't say that. You just say, Mrs. Foy, I think that there's a mistake. I'm so sorry, friends. Yeah, it's been a hard day, hasn't it? The internet's been off, it's been craziness. So it's times 10 to the 3. I'm so sorry. And so this, I had to move that, make that smaller, so this has to be bigger. Did I mess up on that? Nope. Good. All right. And now I'm going to round. And so my final answer is 1.7 times 10 to the 24 atoms of gold.
Is that right?
I think that's right.
My calculator gives me scientific notation.
Then you are a happy camper.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know how to use the scientific notation on their calculators. So if you don't, you need to ask your math teacher. All right, so if we had internet, but we don't, if we had internet, you guys would be taking this quiz. You're going to take a factor labeling quiz. This stuff is not on the quiz, but it is on the test, okay? Well, what? Well, I'm going to actually give you paper pencil because we have no internet. So this is a partner quiz. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, perfect. I'm going to pull popsicle sticks. By the act of randomness, you're going to get a partner, and you guys are going to work together on the quiz. The quiz is multiple choice, but I want you to show me all your work. And then I will have to sanitize this and grade these and get them back to you. Okay?
Will it just be soggy?
Who what?
Will the paper just be soggy?
Well, you know what my husband did? He actually, we bought a UV light that's, you know, it's got radiation in it, and you can get those. And he put it in a cabinet so we can put our face masks in there and get them clean of germs. Isn't that cool? So I might take my papers home and I might say, honey, I need to decontaminate my papers. All right, so I might do that. Okay, so you're gonna get a partner. 2 heads are better than 1. You're gonna work on this together and turn this in. So let me stop my. And I guess what I should say is that if the internet was working, you guys would actually do this on Schoology quizzes. Cancel.